back to continue with discussing the American system and the misconceptions about it, and teaching truths about replacing the misconceptions with the truth. So to start out with today, I want to begin to talk about another misconception that people have, and that is that we have heard a lot of people talk today about the idea that the founding fathers intended for our government to be a limited government. And so I wanted to discuss this today. This is a really big misconception on the part of a lot of people, and on the part of a lot of people in Congress, like Mike Lee, for example, who claims that he is a constitutionalist, but yet he has demonstrated that he does not have a very good understanding of the Constitution. If he did, he would not advocate for limited government, because that is opposite of what the Constitution stands for. But it's not just him. There's a lot of people in our society that believe that our founding fathers intended our government to be limited. And so, the only reason why he's able to mislead people is because they are so willingly quick to fall for the misconceptions and the miseducation, the fallacies of these ideas that he's promoting so adamantly, claiming that they are constitutional. And so this is a very important topic today that really needs to be addressed. And so I want to talk about it. And to really understand this issue really well, to really get a really good grip on it, first of all, I want to say that I can understand how people would come to this conclusion in today's society, because our government has been taken over by a foreign power, and there's a lot of corruption in our government today. And so it makes it easier for people to fall for the lie that our founding fathers advocated or promoted. Their intention was that our government be limited. So this is really I understand why people would come to this fallacy, this wrong idea. But I want to point out that the problem isn't with our government. The problem is that we have a foreign power that has taken over our government. That's what the problem is. So what really needs to happen is that we need to get our government back under the control of the American people and get it out from the control of these foreign powers, the foreign power that is asserting tyranny over our population presently. And a lot of the reason why they have been able to get away with what they have the tyranny that they have promoted on the American population, is because the people in Congress have let them get away with it. They have not upheld the Constitution the way they should have. And so it goes right back to our people in Congress who are pandering to Wall Street. And it's the very people who are pandering to Wall Street, who are pandering to this foreign power that has asserted its grip over our government, that is people like Mike Lee, who at the same time is promoting the idea of limited government. So he is setting the stage for people to want a limited government by his pandering to Wall Street. by his allowing the foreign power to be a tyranny over the American people. And so that gives him the excuse to promote a limited government. But let's examine this idea a little more closely, okay? The rule of law that, remember we talked a little bit about this in the last video, where we talked about the Founding Fathers wanted equal distribution of the law, equal protection under the law, that no party would be allowed to promote anything that would put in jeopardy the safety or the security of the nation as a whole. But yet Wall Street is being allowed to be a tyranny over our population and to loot our population. The small 1% is being allowed to promote a tyranny over the population and create havoc in our nation, because people in Congress are not stopping them. There's things that they can do to stop them, like putting in place Glass-Steagall, for example, which is what Franklin Roosevelt did. But anyway, I will talk about that a little later, a little more. But for now, I want to really talk about the idea of law and what the fundamental purpose is behind the law. We talked about the Founding Fathers wanted the law to be equally distributed and for it to not be arbitrary, to not let the tyrannical rule of one group over another, which is being allowed today. So that condition is unconstitutional. And also, if you really look at it, the rule of law is really what makes the difference between a tyrannical government and a free society, which is what our Founding Fathers intended to be, our nation to be. The rule of law is a system whereby the people who would seek to take unnecessary, unrighteous, or unwarranted control over the population through their power, which is what Wall Street is doing today. We need laws to stop them from doing that. It is the rule of law that protects the people from the tyranny of those who would exploit the unsuspecting American citizens. So the difference between a tyranny and a free society is a free society has laws that protect the citizens, and the society that becomes the government that becomes tyrannical is a lawless society. That means there's no laws in place to rein in their hedonistic impulses, which they would, without that law, would seek to exploit and be a tyranny over the people. So to have a free society, we need law. We need the government to rein in the tyranny. And the reason why we have the tyranny today is because we have a government that is lawless. We have a government that is not being controlled by laws that protect the citizens. So when you limit government, when you limit the laws, you're promoting tyranny. And just to expand on this idea, to to emphasize, I guess, is more appropriate, the idea that our founding fathers intended our government to be strong. This is a principle, an idea that was written in the Federalist Papers. This issue was discussed back when they first wrote our Constitution and founded our government. And so let me read you what Alexander Hamilton had to say about the founding fathers' idea of whether or not the federal government should be limited or if we should have a strong federal government. And I'm going to read a paraphrase or a quote. Well, I guess it's not a quote because it's a paraphrase, but I can't express it as well from memory as I could if I read it. I paraphrased the first Federalist paper, which was written by Alexander Hamilton. And this is what he wrote, paraphrased. Okay. It should be pointed out that it is already evident that it will happen at this time, as it usually does during a great national discussion, a huge torrent of anger, full of sickening passion, will be let loose. It will be shown in the opposing parties that they will try to lead us to believe their way of thinking by their loud pronouncements, which put down certain ideas with ill repute. I'm paraphrasing this as closely as I can to what he actually said, but in language that is more easily understood today. So I will continue. The zeal for a strong and efficient government will be stigmatized and promoted as the offspring of despotic power and hostile to the principles of liberty. An over-exaggerated and scrupulous jealousy of the danger to the rights of the people will be promoted. But those who promote this will only be using this as a pretense. These pronouncements will be nothing more than stale bait for popularity at the expense of the public good. It will be forgotten that jealousy usually accompanies love, and that the noble enthusiasm of liberty is likely to be infected with a spirit of narrow distrust. On the other hand, it will be equally forgotten that a strong government is essential to the security of liberty, that in a sound and well-informed judgment, the state's interest can never be separated, that a dangerous ambition often hides behind the mask of the zeal for the rights of the people, than under the forbidden zeal of the strength and efficiency of government. History has taught us that the former has been found to be a much more certain road to despotism than the latter. Those men who have overturned the liberties of republics, the greatest number began by way of demagogues and ending tyrants. In these things I have written, I warn you, fellow citizens, to be on your guard against attempts to influence your decision in these things. It is a matter of your utmost welfare. Don't be swayed by such pronouncements, but only by what relies on the evidence of truth. The general scope of my advice comes from a source that is friendly to the new Constitution. Yes, my countrymen, after having given it attentive thought, I am clearly persuaded that it is in your best interest to accept it. I am convinced that this is the safest course to your liberty, your dignity, and your happiness. I frankly acknowledge to you my convictions, and I will freely lay before you the reasons on which they are founded. They shall at least be offered in a spirit which will not disgrace the cause of truth. So, let me just repeat. He said, the zeal for a strong and efficient government will be stigmatized and promoted as the offspring of despotic power and hostile to the principles of liberty. An over-exaggerated and scrupulous jealousy of the danger to the rights of the people will be promoted. But those who promote this will only be using this as a pretense. These pronouncements will be nothing more than stale bait for popularity at the expense of the public good. It will be forgotten. Anyway, the other idea that I wanted to specifically put a note on is, on the other hand, it will be equally forgotten that a strong government is essential to the security of liberty. That in our sound and well-informed judgment, the state's interest can never be separated. That a dangerous ambition hides behind the mask of the zeal for the rights of the people than under the forbidden zeal of the strength and efficiency of government. So we were forewarned by our forefathers that this very issue would come up, and that there would be people who would pronounce who would decry the idea that a strong government would put the freedoms of the people in jeopardy. And this very idea, Alexander Hamilton proclaims or warns us about, that this thing that they will do is at the expense of the people, and they do it to promote their own popularity and not for the benefit of the people. It's couched in language. They couch it in language to make it appear, to make it sound like they're trying to benefit the people, when the reality is that without government, without law that would protect the people, that would rein in the hedonist impulses of those who would promote tyranny over this unsuspecting Americans. This is what is needed. And if we don't have this, then tyranny will take over. So it's the law of federal government that promotes liberty. It's the absence of law that promotes despotism and promotes the tyrannical rule of those who would exert their dominion over people through their power. And the only way to stop this is through government, through regulation, to disallow people who would promote these hedonistic impulses on to the unsuspecting citizens. We see this condition happening right now with Wall Street. We see that Wall Street is looting the American population terribly right now, and it's because the bankers and the elite have been allowed to get away with their hedonistic impulses, to exert their tyranny over the American people, that we have had so much devastation and destruction happen to our economy. And at the same time, we have people running around, people in Congress running around saying we need to limit government. In other words, what they're saying is we need to allow these elitists to get away with their tyranny. We don't want government to stand in the way to stop them, to protect the people from the destruction and the havoc that they are promoting onto the people. And so this is really important for the American people to come to a correct understanding about this, because they're being misled by these zealots in Congress who would promote their own popularity by decrying things such as the idea of a limited government, and couching it in words that makes it appear to be like they're doing it for the people, when the reality of it is they're not. They're doing it for their own popularity. And I just wanted to say that I have a quote that I thought kind of fit this really well. It's, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. We have become the land of the blind and home of the misled. So, I mean, think about that. The land of the blind, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And we have become the land of the blind and the home of the misled. Because we have been misled by people in Congress who are promoting the idea that we need a limited government. In other words, they're promoting the idea that we need deregulation. We need to allow the corporate world, the elitists, to get away with whatever they want to do, whatever looting they want to do to the people, whatever they can get away with. It's not a good idea to have government step in and protect the rights of the people. These are the things, it's ideas like this that Mike Lee and others who are promoting the idea of a limited government are doing. And because of the fact that our government has been taken over by scrupulous people of foreign power who seek to promote their own agenda at the expense of the American people. The American people don't trust their government anymore, and it's understandable that they don't. But the reason why, the real reason why, isn't because government's bad. It's because we have people like Mike Lee that are trying to limit government, that are trying to limit the laws to be put in place that would protect the rights of the people. That's where the real problem is. We need the American people's rights to be protected. We need people in Congress to not pander to Wall Street and not pander to the elite, the few people who are kind of like the royal family in England. They are actually an extension of the royal family because they're basically controlled by the same people. It's the same British Empire system coming straight out of London. So anyway, just remember that the rule of law, having laws isn't a bad thing. Having laws is what you need to have a free society. You need laws put in place that would stop the people who gain power and who gain control, the corporate world. You need a government to stand in and protect the people from the tyranny over corporations and people like this. Without government protecting the people, you're going to have a situation where we are going to continue to be looted more and exploited more. And so this is really an important thing for Americans to really come to an understanding of. And to, go back and read the first Federalist paper written by Alexander Hamilton. And, if you want to really have an understanding of what is really needed to promote a free society, and to have a real understanding of what the true intention of our founding fathers was. So that's the conclusion of today's video. Please stay tuned for the next one. And again, I urge you to read the First Federalist paper. Thank you.